All right. Hey, everybody. Hi. Okay, we're live. Welcome to today's live stream. So I titled this Computer Science Q&A because actually I want to do today another basically part 3 of the senior data engineer skills, but somehow I wasn't feeling it today. So let's use today for all your computer science questions as somebody who has been doing it. I was actually thinking about this. It's my 19th year that I'm doing computer science. So if you want to get some answers, have some questions, put them in the chat. I think that's something can be very valuable. I can share with you how I started. Whatever, let me know in the chat. Gaurav is here. Hi. And a few other people as I can see. So yeah, 19th year. I really started computer science when I did a 2-year program that is basically specifically for German, or a German program is called State Certified Engineer, which is basically it's below university, but it was a 2-year program where I was full time in school and learned coding with everything, with Java, learned databases, learned UI creation with HTML and CSS, and back in the days with OpenGL and stuff. So yeah, it's actually 19 years ago. It's crazy. I'm from plant biotechnology. I want to career transition into data engineering. Yeah, you can. Do you have some computer science background? That would be interesting because that's the topic of today. As a beginner, which cloud service is best to get into data engineering? Generally, from a computer science background, I would say the most used is AWS, right? So look into AWS, and you can also, that's the most used. You could also start with something like GCP because it's very user friendly. GCP, you can very easily get into it. So that's something you can start with. No computer science background, that's a problem. So as an engineer, you should get some computer science background, like at least a bit of coding, that you can write programs, that you understand how relational databases work, and that you can query data. That's also something back in my computer science days when I learned this first. That's what they teach us. We were working back we were starting with C, not even with Java or something. We were starting with C, and then with I think it was MySQL database back then. You installed MySQL through, how was that called? A LAMP stack? Was this called LAMP? Is this still a thing? I think could this still be a thing? I don't know. But yeah, so that was nice back in the days. Like, more computer science questions. Computer science. How far are you in the computer science sector? How much Python is necessary? Python. Go start with Python. If you can work with data for a data engineer job, if you check out my Python for data engineers course. I have that's $15 on my website. That will already help you a lot. That's for work with pandas, work with JSONs, and so on. Check that out. But yeah. Shall I start with SQL and Python for initial stage? Absolutely. Start with Python. As I said, back in the day, we were starting with C and then moved into Java. And like that was very traditional. I don't know if anybody nowadays starts coding in C. But I had a lot of fun. We did a lot of coding in C and then in Java after some time. So take a look at that. Take a look at maybe nowadays Python, right? But also Java is a good. I still like it. It's still a good language. Did a lot of complicated things in Java, and also sometimes with the UI, a complete Java app that run on Windows. That was really cool. It was really cool. I have around 5 years of software development and testing experience in automotive. Now I'm pursuing masters in AI. I really like deep learning. Where should I take my career now? Well, if you're into deep learning and if you're into development and AI, then look into a data scientist role. I think that's the natural way that you could take. It's a big plus if you have software development experience as a scientist. I'm from Dhaka, Bangladesh, and I'm working as a data specialist at BRAC. Okay, cool. Nice. Don't know what BRAC is, but next powerful BI tool. That's something, I mean, there are already a lot of BI tools that are really, really good, like Power BI, Tableau, even the ones on the cloud, like Looker Studio, which was called Data Studio before, on GCP. Super easy to use, very powerful. I don't see the next BI tools here soon. How to prepare for AWS certification? I don't know. If you've done the material for the course, that's always the thing, right? You do the curriculum, and then I don't know, are there some books around or some courses around where some study guides specifically for the test, for the certification? That was something I would look into. I'm Python developer, I'm scraping. How to move next to basically the next stage to data engineering? Well, web scraping is more of a, I think, I'm guessing you're using their most computer science skills, right? You're coding this in some language, and then you're taking the data and you're putting the data somewhere. If you do web scraping, then the additional step from there would be to, okay, now your data is lying somewhere. How can you build a pipeline behind to basically further process that data? And that's what would be what I would be looking at, to learn more of the backend, not just the scraping. What databases do websites like LinkedIn and Facebook use? That's very difficult. So they are not using a single database or database type for all these or their services. So there will be multiple systems running. What exactly they're using in the background? Very difficult. Super difficult. So it's going to be some kind of a fast reacting, like a transactional database type, but highly scalable. Maybe some document store or something. I don't know. It's like very difficult, very, very difficult to answer. Or white column stores for like your posts for a user, and then yeah. I already see like a lot of It's not really, this stream is not really going how I intended it to be. To be more computer science focused. Now we're getting again all into the data engineering stuff, but okay, if that's something that you're interested in. Do we need to learn AI like ChatGPT for data mining? What? I think ChatGPT as a chatbot is for as a data scientist, somebody who's doing analysis is not really necessary. My academic teaching experience is CSE background is not counted while transitioning doing jobs interviews in IT sector. Any suggestion for the same? I have no idea what you're saying here. My experience in computer science engineering background is not counted while transitioning during job interviews in IT sector. No idea. Should I learn Hadoop or is Spark enough? Forget about Hadoop nowadays. Not really a big thing anymore. Go with Spark, and that's the main thing. Be happy with it. I would not look into Hadoop nowadays because the cloud and the services on the cloud, especially the serverless services, have very often actually replaced Hadoop, so it doesn't really make sense to look into. MetaRelay a lot of MySQL, but their development MetaRelay a lot on MySQL. Relay, okay. But their development is very customized. Yeah. For example, they have inverted Flexi Raft and bin log service to scale their deployments and provide flexibility. Yeah, I have no idea what Flexi Raft is and bin log service, but that's what I meant. This is always very different because the database or the storage is going to be custom for the use case. So some data will be in systems where they need to have the data very quickly. Other data might not be in that kind of systems. How to switch from Python and CI engineer to data scientist? I mean, look, if you can already code, that is a big plus, right? It's also, as a scientist, you need to code. And if you want to do machine learning, you most likely will use libraries or stuff that is built on top of Python, because Python is the language for the scientists. So for you, I would say build on top of that. Look into Keras or TensorFlow, these kind of things, where you can use your Python in your software development, your engineering skill set to actually apply this and become a really good scientist. So I think that's a good way of taking this. Of course, you need to have the math background, and you need to have you need to learn the machine learning part or the AI part. But yeah, that's a good start. Rust or Go, I'm not the big fan of these. I have no experience with these Rust or Go. I know that people post a lot about Go, and I think I did a poll about this before, don't remember when, where people really like Go, so maybe, but I don't know the implications of that. Go, I think Go is coming from the Google spectrum, right? This is out of the Google ecosystem. So I think if you're working on GCP, Go is very popular, but no idea. What impact does it have of properly managing encryption and anonymization of data when an organization wishes to monetize its information? What does that mean? And well, of course, if you want to use company data and want to sell company data, some data you most likely want to anonymize so that other people can't work with the data or can fully understand the business case, or that private data is either not there or it's anonymized or masked or encrypted. Well, encrypted not, but anonymized. What impact? I don't know what impact. It depends. This depend very, very closely on the use case, because I guess for some use cases it's completely irrelevant if some data of your data is anonymized. What will be the future of data engineering after ChatGPT? I mean, whoa, wait a sec. Why is ChatGPT coming after data engineering? I don't get that. What? That makes no sense for me, because these two things, for me, what I have seen, these two things are not. By the way, that's something. Here's something I have in the background for the noise to try to reduce the echo here. Let's see if that helps. Next time I'm going to remove this. So for me, ChatGPT does not relieve or does not remove the need of good data engineering or of good engineering, of good architecture. So the whole premise of what the future of data engineering after ChatGPT is different thing for engineers. Don't see a lot of help here. Can you explain how to follow your YouTube channel for data engineering? Just go through main, beginner, intermediate, advanced playlist of your channel. I don't have these kind of playlists. Search for it, look for topics, go I usually title the stuff and look for a title that you like and then go through it. Right. Full stack data scientist. For me, data scientist questions are always hard because I'm not a data scientist, right? So, but full stack. So how I see the full stack data scientist is that the data scientist not only needs to do not only is able to do the science stuff, the analysis stuff, the machine learning stuff, but also some engineering workloads to be able to not fully replace an engineer, but maybe in the first stage, in the proof of concept stage, to be able to build a small platform and build the proof of concept, or that you can deploy your applications in production. That's for me a full stack data scientist, that you can do more than just analyze data. Rust is only for high performance. Go code is software engineering at scale. Nice, Ivo. Okay, so that sounds a lot like Go is the right solution then, right? What should we use the best API development for using easily accessible or built by any stakeholders? These questions today. I don't get it. I have knowledge on Azure DevOps, but also I want to start my career path in data engineering. Can you tell please how should I start? Well, I mean, it's always the same. I mean, I feel like I'm always saying the same. Look at the stuff that I'm having in my academy. Look at that you process data, that you are able to. We were somebody who was that? Who just asked about APIs? So like that you understand how APIs, streaming and batch processing, basically how that works, and use a bunch of tools. Look at the stuff that I teach in my academy. That's the best advice that I can give you, because that stuff is working. Is Kafka and Docker Kubernetes more important in data engineering? If yes, what's the percentage do I need to learn? So for Docker, I think 100% of engineers should know Docker, should know how to create a Dockerized application and deploy that. That's also why I have a course about that in my academy, because that's the basis. Nowadays, if you want to run automated pipelines, you need to have that kind of a system and that kind of knowledge. So Docker 100%. Some people would say Kubernetes as well. I'm not sure about Kubernetes. Maybe. I think it's cool, especially in larger environments where scale is very important. Absolutely, yeah. So some computer science questions. Computer science, from your computer science background, let's chat also a bit about computer science. Or something else you have on your mind. Put that in the chat. Let's go. Can you suggest skills required to become a data architect or data engineering manager? Look at the last 2 streams that I have done. Senior data engineer part 1, part 2. There's a lot of stuff in there that is relevant for the architect, right? Because like we were talking about, let me bring this up. One second. Because we were talking in the last few days, like data modeling, you need to, as an architect, you need to understand event-driven architectures, microservices. You need to understand distributed computing, cloud-based technologies, ETL, right? I think these are all, these here, advanced modeling and architecture, more or less distributed processing, ETL, advanced warehousing, cloud computing, that you understand, that you can work. You can't see my mouse cursor, sorry. Basically that one, ETL, data warehousing, real-time data processing, cloud computing here, that you understand how can you work on cloud platforms, AWS, Azure, and so on. These are things that are very important for an architect, but also stuff like governance and compliance, because this needs to flow into your architecture, into your plan for the whole platform for the data pipelines. Same with security. So that kind of stuff. What computer science knowledge does data engineer need from your perspective? So for me, what an engineer at least needs to have an understanding of how to code, how to write code, how to write good code, and a bit of practice in that. Because without coding, that's also what I say in my academy, if you have no idea about coding, it almost makes no sense to start with data engineering, because coding is one of the basic functions. Of course, you can start with there is stuff that where you don't need coding that much. Like if you think about Snowflake, you could do data engineering on Snowflake. Snowflake, everything is in SQL in Snowflake. And if you have files, then you could files in the cloud storage, then you could already do a lot of stuff with it. But very often engineers need to have some software development experience and need to do software development. So I think that's something. And at least some, from computer science perspective, some relational database experience, that you understand how to use SQL to read, write, and modify data in a relational database. I think that's very important. That's the basis of what a engineer should know. So if you say, okay, I want to get into data engineering, at some point, even if you, as I said, even if you start with something like Snowflake that doesn't have that much of coding, at some point you need to get into coding and software developments. It's a big topic. Thoughts on Apache Spark versus Akka? I never used Akka. I know Spark. I love Spark. So I would always go for Spark. Done a lot with Spark, more with Scala back in the day, but that was just because the Python API for Spark was terrible. Nowadays, Spark is very strong with Python, and I would go with Python. That's also what I teach. I teach it with Python. Some companies ask for advanced data structures at interviews, and also how to optimize for time and complexity, but that doesn't seem that relevant for the day-to-day job, is it? Laura, that's the thing. Most of the time, unfortunately, companies are using these systems where they test candidates, or are using quite standardized tests to find out how good are your software development skills. If you don't need it at work, doesn't matter. They want to find out how much experience do you have. I personally don't like this. I think that kind of work is, or that kind of question is, it's how should I say this? You can always Google this if you're unsure about how to optimize something, and to test this in an interview or in a test for an interview. I don't know, but that's how people act. That's what they use. Like it or not, the only way what you can do, Laura, is that you train for this. Use sites like HackerRank or LeetCode, and just train this stuff that when you get into these interviews or these tests for the interviews, for the application process, that you have some experience. If they use the standard stuff, or if they do standardized tests, you can train with these standardized tests. It's always the same thing. But I don't like this myself. Do I want to learn all data engineering skills if I want to be data scientist or ML engineer? So if you, as a data scientist, no, it doesn't make sense, because you most likely cannot learn everything, all the computer science, all the engineering experience. It's a very large field. It's not easy, but you should understand how streaming works, how ETL works, how you can deploy something in the cloud. So you need some cloud experience. You need to understand how APIs work, and maybe how you can set up a quick API. That kind of stuff is super important. And yeah, I think that's the basis of it. Don't try to learn both, because it's I don't see that possible. Become good in one thing and focus on that. It's also more rewarding, I think. All right. Any more questions? This went completely different than I thought. Wow. No more questions? Okay. All right. So tomorrow, I don't know if I can be here tomorrow. I actually planned it in. Maybe I'm going to start the stream tomorrow earlier. Let's see. It's because somebody put a meeting in. I had my calendar messed up, and it actually didn't reserve me the spot for tomorrow for the stream, and then somebody booked the slot. So, but I don't want to cancel the meeting. So maybe I'm going to, let me quickly check. Maybe I'm going to be back here tomorrow at 3, so an hour earlier, to talk about stuff. And then tomorrow we're going to go into the last thing here for senior data engineers, into leadership and communication. All right. Everybody, have a good one. Thanks for being here. Hope this was helpful for you. Let's chat tomorrow. Let's talk about senior data engineering skills. See ya.